Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Reaction Time. We are here once again. It is the last episode before the last spots at MSI are decided. Almost everything is set and ready to go. We had like 4 more teams clinch spots this week, and we will have the champions of the LPL and the LCS next week, and then we get to get ready for the big one for MSI. So, the first thing I want to do, boys, is I want to throw a little hypothetical at you. I want you to imagine a world in Worlds 2022 where we get to the top 4 of the tournament, and the last 4 teams left in the tournament are an NA team, a Brazilian team, a Japanese team, and a Southeast Asian team.
Oh my god.
Would you die a little bit?
I would, yeah, that would be the perfect case scenario, honestly, for
And
like
get this, the NA team
revitalization.
is the favorite.
How do we get here? How does this happen? How do we make
Eric,
this
how
magic
did we
happen?
get here? Do you know what I'm referencing?
I don't think I do. What are you referencing?
I'm referencing the Final 4 of the Valorant Masters Tour tournaments.
Oh, right. Yeah, because the Japanese team, like destroyed them. Right,
The Japanese team, which I think took out all 3 EU teams back to back to back, came in the worst form of anyone in the tournament with no expectations.
Zeta something or other?
Zeta Division, yep.
Yeah.
So you have Optic and Loud in the upper bracket final from NA and Brazil, respectively. Loud has a team in the CBLOL as well. And then Zeta Division from Japan and Paper Rex from Southeast Asia as the top 4 in the Valorant tournament. So the EU teams that I think many expected to do better have done terribly. Optic, which I don't think was even one of the better NA teams, has been the one to get to the upper bracket final all of a sudden. So it's just imagine a world in which it's like whoever wins the CBLOL. So I think it's Red Canids maybe is up in that, or I forget who it is right now. So it's them and like 100 Thieves, and then Detonation Focus Me and PSG Talon are the top 4 in Worlds.
That'd be the most amazing turn of events. I think the entire.
I'd be into it.
Yeah.
I think that scenario is actually pretty close to what happened in Valorant. It's slightly different. It's kind of like if it was the DFM of last year with Aria, right? Yeah. Because Zeta Division is kind of like that year of Detonation Focus Me, where you have these like analysts living in their closets somewhere in LA saying like this team is actually really good. Like Aria is like top 15 Korean solo queue and blah 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 blah. You know, they're like hyping it up, and then in LoL they didn't make it that far. But like it's kind of that same thing where only it's like Zeta Division took out like every game, which is so funny. Like their match with G2 was, I think I caught part of that, and it was really hilarious to me.
Yeah, and G2 crashing and burning to a minor region team? What?
Don't know what.
That happens. Don't know what you're talking about. Impossible.
What? Carlos Mad Online? These things, they happen occasionally. So anyway, so that's, I saw those results because it's like Zeta has been like trending worldwide #1 a couple times during this Valorant tournament because of how hyped the Japanese fan base is behind them. The highest viewed match of the entire tournament with almost 700,000 people was Zeta against Dragon X, who were the Korean representative for the Valorant tournament, and like beating any of the NA teams, any of the EU teams, just the whole 9 yards. And that's before you get to the fact that we've got a Brazilian team in the top 4 who are actually really, really, really good and who have a decent chance to win this thing. If we get the Japan hype machine and the Brazil hype machine together in the final, that's going to bust some stuff.
So this is pulling numbers then, as far as viewership. Okay, wow.
And it's all the Japanese viewers.
Interesting.
Like, I think Zeta's in almost all of the top 5 matches in viewership of the entire tournament.
How is the North American like honestly, like I'm going to be real transparent. I have not gotten into Valorant at all. I think I
haven't
was
done much. I've just I've been trying to get caught up on the big tournament this week because I've seen the results popping up and I've seen this shit's really trending right now and it's getting to be a big deal. So let me get educated a little bit.
Yeah, and I think you've inspired me as well to look at it because I was getting into Overwatch a little bit with Monty, and all them when they were kind of covering it, and I did get a little bit into Siege, so I can appreciate it, but I just the shooter games are just really hard for me to watch because I don't understand the maps.
I've watched a ton of CS:GO over the years, even though I'm god awful FPS player. But CS:GO eSports is it's worth your time to watch. Yeah. And Valorant has tried their best to pull a lot of the parts of that. And it's got some interesting parallels. I don't want to pull too much, but the Brazilian Counter-Strike scene is really, really notable. One of the best teams in the world was a Brazilian team for a hot minute a few years ago, and Brazil has been somewhat of a hotbed of talent for CSGO. So I find it very interesting that there is a Brazilian team that's we're top 4 maybe in the world right now in this strategic shooter.
Yeah, and if Riot can have 2 monopolies on the esport powerhouses, sure, oh man, that's something to behold.
Anyway, yeah, so I thought that drawing that parallel would be a fun little brain breaker for you, because imagine a world where all the Korean teams and all the Chinese teams bomb out of worlds, and we're left with that.
I like it.
Doesn't feel likely, but anyway, speaking of good Chinese teams, it's time to talk about the LPL. And Eric and I were talking earlier today about Top Esports, and as we often do, and as I think I've said on this podcast before, Top Esports since Knight came onto this roster have been kind of the coin flip roster that ever coin flipped, not least because of Jackie Love being kind of a coin flippy little player in his own right. And that is what it is. This Knight came up to the top esports roster in May 2019. So it's been 3 years almost to the day since he came up. And Top has notably underachieved basically the entire time. They have the talent and have had the talent to be top 2 or 1 in the world. Knight has been noted as possibly the best mid laner in the world for most of the time he's been playing professionally at this point. But as a team, they have always underachieved. So the Top story this week kind of starts with the fact that they lost to Royal Never Give Up in it was the upper bracket finals.
Yep.
And it's the first time that they've lost anything in this entire run up the tournament. Eric, I know you took some time to watch these games and see what was going on. What did Royal get right that no one else has figured out yet about Top?
Well, one part of it is that Royal is really good at catching fumbles and also applying map pressure to not let Top super snowball early leads. Top Esports was still up at the 15-minute mark by 3k gold on average in all 4 games of this series, including their losses. So they're really good at early game. That's what you get with Jackie Love and Knight. But Royal was really good at punishing with cross-map play. Zhao, whose Rise and Gallia were especially good at that. And then they also brought in the really good counter play to various lanes so that they could both match scaling, but then also have points of pressure on the map. In two of the 3 games that Royal won, they picked the Rise Lee Sin, and then were able to take that mid lane pressure and then either gank for Bin in top lane, letting Bin stabilize what should have been a losing matchup, or gank for their bot lane, where in game 2 they picked Tristana Rel, which was an all-in engaged combo, where then they can like hard engage and kill the Jinx and set Jackie Love behind. And so they had these like power plays on the map. And then they also lucked out a lot mid game when Top Esports decide to just attack a Baron for some reason with everyone alive on the map.
So there's still that, like, top are going to try to fight you, kind of no matter what, sometimes to their detriment. Jackie Love might flash it on you, sometimes to his detriment. And that's still there, and Royal has seemed like the team that, by playstyle, is the most likely to exploit them. Now, top against Victory 5, V5 dropped down to the lower bracket by losing their first matchup to Top Esports, which we talked about last week. V5 beats JDG, kind of expectedly, to get their way to the lower bracket final. And then we have the rematch of Top against V5. Now, a reminder, V5 finished first in the LPL in the regular season and had an amazing regular season. This was even less close than the first matchup between these two teams. Eric, I know you watched these games today, and we talked about this a little bit. Top's got this matchup figured out.
Yeah, well, and a part of it was, I think that. So, in my opinion, Victory 5 should have won Game 2 of this series, but Knight had an absolutely sick outplay at their bot inhibitor turret at like 38 minutes into this 39-minute game, with a double stopwatch after all in engaging on Rookie and Rich on Vex. So he goes in, he stopwatches, he pops his other stopwatch. Rookie and Rich are just standing there like you know, with what's a good. They're just kind of standing there waving their arms around, and then the rest of Top Esports shows up and kills them. And then with both of the Fed solo lanes dead at 38 minutes into the game, this is after V5 has caught up in a game where they were down like 10k gold, where they had won like at least one, if not two, objective coin flips against Top Esports already in this game. And then all of a sudden their solo laners are dead for like over a minute, and then Top Esports just takes the base and wins. And it's like, and it was just like one sick outplay that lost them that game. And then they're how they forgot kind of how they approached that draft, and then like hard lost in games 3 and 4, and it was pretty tragic. A lot of it was bot diff, but not an ADC in support, where Mark had a really good series, and PP God got really exposed, especially in game 4. Yeah.
I would also like to note that if we look only at games 2, 3, and 4, so V5's losses, Rich went 3, 20, and 4 across those 3 games. If we take out, he had a very good game 1.
I think they camped him.
Yikes!
They camped him in game 2, and then in games 3 and 4 he kind of fell apart a bit. But a lot of it, so like games 3 and 4 are fascinating because I'm pretty sure they're also like the first losses Lee Sin has had in LPL playoffs, which is like a big deal, especially since it's Karsa Lee Sin, right?
Right.
This is Tien versus versus Karsa. Like Tien's got a world championship win on Lee Sin. Karsa is like one of the best Lee Sin players of all time. And Karsa lost these Lee Sin games not because of his own play, but because PP God was hard inting to the enemy Viego. And that was very tragic.
I can confirm that Lee Sin is currently 13-2 in the LPL playoffs.
So these are the only 2 games, and it was not Karsa's fault. It was 100% his top lane and his support hard inting. I also feel like they were also talking. These were the first 2 games Photic has played on Xayah all split. In these 2 losses, he had no clue how to. They did not have wave prio with Xayah into the Aphelios, which is bad. It's very bad. I'll phrase it that way.
I find it interesting that in that situation, then Jinx is up, right?
So they went with Xayah because Xayah is technically supposed to be a winning lane
Because that's
matchup.
like you have both teams played 2 games each of Xayah and Aphelios on
Right.
each side of the matchup. Those are the only 2 ADCs we saw the whole set.
There seems to be a global like deprio of Jinx in the Aphelios matchup, and everybody's leaning towards that like Pen Xayah, correct?
Xayah or maybe the Misfortune.
Mm-hmm.
The plan is you win lane because like so the the bigger issue to me is that they started like trying to blind pick champions for PP God, and it didn't work very well. Like he started getting super abused in that bot lane. They were doing this weird thing where they were prioing picking. So both games, they're on blue side. They first pick Lee Sin for Karsa. Then they like lock in Xayah as an answer to the Aphelios, and they lock in PP God's champion blind in the 3 spot of pick ban. And the problem with this is that PP God needs to have an engaged champion and to have lane prio in order for this team to win games. They were under this weird impression that Rookie has a deep champion pool. We don't need a power pick for Rookie. We can let Rookie get like 7 mid lane bans against him in a game, and then we'll still be okay. So if you look at game 4 of this series, in this game, Orianna, Ari, Vex, Galio, Rise are all banned, and like even the Jace could kind of be flexed there. And so there's like this just like slew of mid lane bans. And in the game before that, it was like Orianna, Ari, LeBlanc, Rise, Vex, Silas, and it's like, and then here's Rookie like picking his mid laner in the 4 spot of these games. And it didn't work. It really looked like they actually needed to prio a pick for a Rookie earlier in the draft, not because like not to focus in on like specific champion matchups, but like they win games when their mid and jungle, their all-star champion players can dominate the map by working as a team. And so when you're picking the Azir with the Lee Sin, you can't support the gank, you can't play through mid lane. And then when you're playing TF and Lee Sin, ideally that should work, but then that game was kind of atrocious because they got outscaled in 5 out of 5 rolls across the map, and PP God was hard inting and losing bot lane. So it's like it was really hard there, but it's like you have to really think about like playing through mid jungle, and then having some counter pick bot lane that gives you an advantage in 2v2, usually by a support pick. Like that's like a requirement for how to approach this meta, and they didn't get it right in either of those games.
Yeah. So like moral of the story here is V5 clearly have some stuff to figure out in best of 5s, because what we did know about this team is Rookie and Karsa are the ones who have been here before, right?
Very
like
much.
Rich, Fuddick, PP God haven't really done the playoffs thing before, and I think it showed a little bit. We like you talk about Fuddick's champion pool. That's a thing that people can take advantage of, because if you look like the parallel, since we've talked about 2 sets, we talked about Xayah is supposed to be the answer to Aphelios, right? So walk back to the Royal top set, which had Royal played 4 different ADCs. Both sides played Jinx. Royal shows the Tristana and wins on it. And you've got Xayah, you've got Jinx, you've got Aphelios, you've got like all this stuff around, but you've got the ability, like Gala's here playing four picks in 4 games, right? Like, and that's part of what's working for Royal, is they've got that flexibility. And if like going back in a second time on Xayah, even though you got Xayah Rakan in game 4, which in theory is good, it just like it clearly they needed to go a different direction, it seems like, on that. So, and it was as we note, it was their untested players that were hard in these games.
There were also 3 to 4 less mid bans in every game of that RNG top series across those games, where both Xiaohu and Knight appeared to be much more comfortable just like letting picks through in the first phase of the ban, and then dealing with the consequences.
So we get the top RNG rematch for the final this weekend, you would think that this leans Royal because as we talked through this first matchup, we know how Royal plays, and how Royal plays happens to almost directly counter what Top is best at. So it seems like a stylistic problem rather than a skill problem for Top Esports. But the skill ceiling is there. They are in about as good a form as the team, an organization, has ever been in. I think they've got a shot. I can't pick them. Eric, you agree, disagree?
Oh, I totally agree. Top still has all the same problems. It's not just like the coin flip of Knight and Jackie walking too far forward and dying. It's the fact that they have an obsession with the purple worm, and and you can't do that.
Not easily cured.
Yeah.
Chinese Dignitas.
I have memes floating through my head right now.
If you look at the stat line for the last RNG Top series, our Top had 1 Baron, RNG had 5. Most of those were started by Top Esports. So, can't do that.
I think it was also interesting, and this is just what I can glean, is that RNG was winning the advantageous jungle picks and also winning the poorer matchups of those things. So I believe in the first round they beat either the Lee Sin. No, they beat the Volibear with the Lee Sin, which I thought was interesting. And then they picked the Trundle into the Volibear, and then they also beat the Lee Sin with the Hecarim, I think it was, something like that. Or they beat the Trundle with the Hecarim, something like that. They just seem like they have a better game plan. On top of that, their style lends themselves to being able to execute on it, from just my very basic knowledge and looking at it.
Yeah, definitely. And they did a great job with the Lee Sin Rise combo in mid lane, where you get the Rise Rune Prison, and then your Lee Sin player gets the free kick, and Wei wasn't even going for the free kick. He was going for the fancy plays. In a lot of his ganks in these games, where he was actually ward hopping inning, and landing E and then landing Q, so that then when they flash away, he can follow with the Q reactive, and was getting kills that way. It was sick. And so these Lee Sin players in the top 4 have all been absurd.
You like to see it. Playoffs Lee Sin, always fun. Then we get world stage Lee Sin, which is even better.
Look at this guy not talking about the fact that clinching games on Volibear. Imagine not hyping up the bear.
Well,
if they watch the show, they know,
because EU's done, because Yanko's Lee Sin is a no. Don't do that.
Boy, that's going to be an interesting factor going into MSI, isn't it?
And that's the fear. If you're picking the Volibear into the Lee Sin matchup, you got to win. You got to do it. So you can't lose.
We have. Let's look at our major series champions here. We have whatever LPL jungler gets out, probably plays a bunch of Lee Sin. We have Owner for T1, plays a bunch of Lee Sin. We have Yankos. Insert your 3-headed Hydra meme here. Label them yourself. So, yeah, the LPL final, it should be good. I would pick probably Royal in 4 again, but I hope I'm surprised. It would be awesome to see Top on the world stage. Please understand, if Top gets to go to MSI and plays any NA team, it's going to be 18 minutes and 40-5 in kills, and it'll be hilarious.
No.
Finally, I don't think we actually got Knight v Faker last year either, right?
Yeah.
So would this be our first opportunity for Knight v Faker, which is a huge matchup, especially with Knight having taken out Rookie to get here? That would be bonkers.
Meanwhile, Zhao just here. Zhao here to end our fun. Took a sabbatical in top lane, and y'all bitches still can't beat me.
Hey, they might put him top again just for the memes.
No, we haven't talked NA yet.
Oh God.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of NA, before we get to NA, let's acknowledge some other champions. Congratulations to Team A's from the LLA on their MSI achievement and their LLA championship. Congratulations once again to PSG Talon, who got to beat the hilarious name team, the Oyster one.
Oysters, yeah.
In the final of the PCS. So it'll be good to see how PSG Talon are looking once again on the international stage, as they've obviously impressed before, and we have high expectations for that region. And I think that's it. I think the CB Wall is still this weekend. They haven't finished yet, so we're still waiting on that, along with our NA and LPL friends. So I think that's everybody. Anyway, speaking of NA, we have our final three going to Houston. We'll talk about the one that is not going to Houston in a bit, because we got to talk about that banger of an upper bracket final, and how sad Steven is.
No, nope. I'm
right
not
now.
even sad. We need more games because we're the
Not
highest.
even sad. He
Not
says.
even sad.
Let's pan back to where you were on Saturday, sir.
The Salt Lake City.
So I have a wonderful
Steven, we're on a video. I'm coming back to Eric in a little bit. Can you, for the chat, please produce the face that you made when you saw Abadaga on TF in your base in Game 5?
This exact. It was just like, no. I was so
Just
mad. I
autoing
was
his
just
TF
so
casually, stealing
so
the cards.
mad. We lost the TF matchup, which we've won so many times.
You got
It was
reverse swept
it was
again.
the thinnest Whippo, and I don't understand. I don't understand so many decisions that were made. I'm gonna need some justifications. But like, this is all on purpose. Like, you see the teaser trailers. There's no 100 Thieves in there. Like, it's all about TL. Like, we're going to finals. Ain't even but a thing.
All right. So anyway, the loser section is done talking. Eric, you got a thing?
I think I understand the thing that should happen in NA from now on, and it's I'm pretty confident it involves something like ban Ornn. I think that's the answer.
Yes.
The end. Yeah. Yeah, because like when 100 Thieves can play Lucian Nami bot lane and win with it, you have a problem. And I'm pretty sure it's the
into Zeri, by the way.
Yeah.
Vile.
Like into Zeri, into Rise, who's busted right now, into Graves, like it was just brutal.
Well, and a thing, like, we were talking in the chat as the series was going on, and as we hit pick ban in Game 4, and Whippo locks in top Lucian into Ornn, locked in, I'm like, buddy. And so we sit back and look at this set. Someday gets to play Ornn 4 of 5 games, including the wins in games 3, 4, and 5. Whippo into the Ornn in games 3, 4, and 5 picks Graves, Lucian, Shen.
Just, I like the Shen pick wasn't
The Shen
awful,
wasn't that bad,
but the Graves and Lucian that was just like, I thought it was like, okay, we have to go to Game 5 because that's like what the ticket price is for. Like, you got to give people a show. But then like Game 5 just kept going worse and worse, and I'm just like, what is happening? How is it? And it kills me because my son loves Someday for whatever reason. He's just like, Someday, I love Someday. I'm like, quiet, child. You know
Someday's
not
great.
what you speak. That was a tragedy.
So Eric, from your perspective as a 100 Thieves aficionado, what went right in the last 3 games other than Ornn?
They had a really good mid-jungle prio in how they approached the lane, where like even with the Orianna pick in Game 3, Orianna Jarvan is really good shit for early game playmaking, where Jarvan goes in, Orianna give ball. And then you can then snowball that through your side lanes, such as the Lucian Nami, who should be hard winning, for the record. Like Like Zeri's
That's why you picked
weakness-
that lane.
Yeah, Zeri's weakness is early game laning, and so then I don't understand the Soraka pick necessarily, because it's like it's fully seeding the lane is what they did there, and so like so Jarvan ganked that lane early before ultimate, because Zeri can just get out of Jarvan ult. Jarvan into Zeri is actually a terrible matchup, as you can see in the C9 set. But like in this game, when you're ganking for a winning lane early with this, you can do something, and then follow up with your Ornn and your Orianna ball, and it doesn't matter. And like and so they snowballed, and they actually won with their snowball, which is different than every other team trying to play these like dog shit early game comps. They actually were able to win, partially because they still had late game with the Orianna and with the Ornn scaling. So like you need a way to win early, and you need a way to win late, and they did that in that game. They did that in game 5 with the TF Viego combo, and then in game 4 the LeBlanc Jarvan did work too. So like it's like all of a sudden Abadage remembered how to play the game. They had prio in all 3 of those games in mid jungle combos, and they won the game.
Steven, what went wrong other than Whippo in?
Game 3, all of game 3 was actually troll, and I don't understand what that, because that was is that Zeri Soraka bottom or something like that, and like if you just look at it across the board, they just fuck with this light, man. They just went to sleep, and I don't understand what went on with that game to just like completely throw everything out of whack, because that game was just horrendous, and that just set the stage for everything going poor.
Like, if I may pick my thing to beef with, I bitched about top Lucian. That entire Team Liquid team comp in game 4 is dog shit.
Right.
Why are you picking Ezreal Braum on 12-7 or 12-6, whichever one we're on? No one on the entire planet is picking that right now. Why are you picking Lucian top? If you want to pick Lucian, play Lucian Nami yourself. It probably would work okay into Aphelios. Like,
it can't be a champ pool problem.
What is the purpose of this team composition?
I don't know, man. It can't be a champ pool problem. I'm turning my light red because I'm angry. Me mad boy.
I think a part of the idea or the intent was it's like the Braum counters Ornn engage, and also like you want Ezreal or someone with mobility to avoid their like hard CC for Hans. Like that's a part of the intent. They also let AD fall to second round of picks and bans in this game, where like, so if you look at it, 100 Thieves banned the 100 Thieves banned Jinx, Zeri, and then Zaya in the second round. So like there was they actually shoved him into the second tier of AD carries, and Ezreal is like in that tier. It was just super bizarre that they let it come to that in the first place.
Right, especially when they had like the Aatrox answer into the Ornn looked fine, and what did he play in game 2? That also
Aatrox?
Yeah, it wasn't banned. Why would you just not rack it up again? Why are you beaming with Graves?
He plays Aatrox the first 2 games. One of them into the Ornn, does well on it, and then doesn't touch the rest of the series. Never banned.
It makes zero sense to me. And that's like a classic answer as well, that you're supposed to take into it and let your jungler help you win, which Santorin is completely willing to do. And you're locking in Graves, which looked awful, and you're locking in Lucian, which looked worse. And you have the perfect mid laner to allow that to happen. Like, Bjergsen could be self-sufficient. He absolutely can be, especially on the picks that he was picking. Just shut down someday and win the game. That's been proven successful just in the game prior. Just, like, in the first game. Like, I don't get it. It's just baffling to me.
The game 5 comp, I actually do like.
I do.
Because, you have this dirty dive comp with Alistair and Volibear going in with a Shen going on top of them. I kind of wish Bjerg had gone for Orianna instead of Corki with this, because if you hit that Wombo, you win the game.
Yeah. I think that was just, they were so in shambles by that point, and they just didn't play it as well as they could. Because I feel like the Whipple just started getting out of sync, because I think he was dying asymmetrically with other people getting caught out, and it was just like really just awful to watch. I hated it. It was not fun.
Well, and like that game was never that far apart.
No.
Like 3 and 4 were stomping. This game was like TL loses this game with a gold lead.
Yeah.
And it was never separated by more than 3K gold on either side. Like, it was a close game. The problem is, like, I can shitpost about Abadage backdooring to win the game. If you watch the 4v4, TL just loses the 4v4 too.
Right.
So, like, it's over right then.
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
That was just like the salt in the wound.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at damage in that game, that was really just like late game Zeri with what's the bogus Trin Force called? The
ultimate
The
fuck
Orn
you.
one? Yeah.
yeah. The Orn upgraded Trin Force just like mowing them down. Like I was also really impressed with FBI's Zeri builds in this game, and I think it was it. Oh well, there was another Zeri game. I don't know if it wasn't in this series, where I forget which set it was, but like there was a Zeri game. It might have been Danny on EG who built the anathemous chains on Zeri in late game, just to like really make Summit tilt. But like it's this Zeri is actually really unique, and not just because of but like mainly because you have like 2 to 3 core damage items, and then after that you can do whatever you want, and like that build in game 5, like with the QSS specifically, like with QSS and Zeri Dash, there is no way you can kill FBI in these fights with their comp. Like you talked about the sick dive, but it's like you actually don't have hard engage besides Flash Bear, where you need Santorin to just full out sprint at Zeri and then like flash to land the stun to interrupt Zeri mid dash. That is the only way you can kill FBI in these fights, which means that he needs to not press his Q button on Santorin as this is happening for some reason. It's like it's very hard for them to be able to get this because of the way the team worked
in
out.
both game 1 and game 2 of the C9 set.
Yeah. Just like I think the chains is big brain energy, but like with the QSS too, like FBI is just like unkillable, and that's where we got to. Well, he died twice in that game early.
Yeah, but I mean that's to be expected. You should try to shut, but in the 4v4, like it was pew pew lasers gunning down my poor bear and my ninja. And that was it. I think Corky died on the front end of the fighter.
You forgot about the cow, you know?
Oh yeah, someone got caught out
A5,
in the front of that. Oh, it was Core, wasn't it? I think he was beef kebabbed before the fight even. Someone got wienered down by Red, and then it was game over, and it just sent me. I like saw the cosmos in a fiery rage.
But you're still alive because that's the upper bracket.
Oh yeah, we just gotta get more screen time. Get our bills.
We get to run back the EG series, which was actually a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to get that rematch.
Yes.
Back because it like we objectively have the 3 teams that are in the best form in the final 3.
And I think EG is in form, so I think
EG's
that's really
figuring it out.
Yeah,
like absolutely, they are figuring it out as they go. And they have said all year they are built better for best of 5 than best of 1, and they're showing it, which I appreciate. But C9 is garbage. Holy cow.
Yes.
So, like, let's talk about this set. Number 1, I looked up these stats because I could not understand this pick ban at all. So, in the main 4 regions, let's talk about Zeri for a second. In the LPL, I can up this stat because I looked at today's set. The LPL has had 46 games in their playoffs thus far. Zeri has been picked twice and banned 44 times. 100% win rate, 100% presence. In the LCK, Zeri has 1 pick, 19 bans across 20 games. 100% win rate, 100% presence. In the LEC, she has 6 picks and 24 bans. She lost 1 game and has 100% presence. In the LCS, she's only been banned 11 times. She's gotten through 12 times and has a 42% win rate. So not only is NA letting through a champion that every other league thinks is busted,
and showing
they all fucking suck at it. and for the record, because Danny 3-0s this set, all 3 games on Zeri, the win rate is 22% before EGC. NA teams were 2-7 on Zeri in playoffs before the EGC 9 set. And the 2 wins were the 2 that got traded in the TL 100 Thieves set when each team got 1 win on Zeri.
I have a theory. Does this come from a lack of solo queue culture in NA where we're not adapting to new... Okay.
No. It's more likely that if you're going to blame a cultural thing, it might be scrim culture.
Okay.
So like I talked about, Zeri loses lane, right?
Mhm.
It's a late game power pick.
Oh, the
So like
FF
if you blame a culture thing, it would be the fact that like because Zeri and like especially when we're talking about C9 of all teams, the odds that C9 loses a scrim game when Zeri is on the enemy team seems very low to me. I'm just gonna throw it out there because like you have Blabber, you have Summit on the other team here. Like this game doesn't get to 35 minutes. So I strongly suspect if you blame anything, I would blame that, where it's like you're just not getting good data on actually playing against this champion in the LCS.
Well, and like you talked about the answer to this being early game power comps. C9 in game 1 picks Caitlyn Lux, a super dominant lane bullying lane. In game 3 picks Lucian Nami, a super dominant lane bullying lane, and plays them both like garbage.
They played it like garbage, but the only point I'll make to refute this is that Impact also played tanks in top lane all 3 games,
which was the next point we were going to get to. Don't you worry.
And Summit like was hard inting on the other side of the map again, and so it's like when you have your top side of the map inting, and it doesn't matter if the bot side of your map is getting minor advantages. The other big thing to be on the lookout for here is like what neutrals are teams going for. So like EG was focusing and prioritizing getting Rift Herald for balancing out gold income in early game. Cloud9 was focusing dragons, and they were losing team fights by third dragon and dragon soul, or even getting dragon soul and still losing because they get hard outscaled. Like one of the games, it was like super awkward, like the Caitlyn Lux one, where like they get like Ocean Soul on like their like 5 squishy team. So it's like how do you expect Ocean Soul doesn't help when you're getting like Ornult into Nocturnal into like Zeri damage, you know? It just doesn't. So it was really unfortunate in some ways how like things shaped up, but it's also the fact that like they're like prioritizing objectives on the Rift, expecting these games to go long, and they needed to not. Like they needed to play actually around top lane instead of playing around bot lane. So it's actually incredibly smart from EG to like let them pick these nonsense power bot lanes because Blabber can't be everywhere. He just can't.
Yeah, and then like you not only do you have Zeri's inherent scaling advantage, EG's picking Zeri Enchanter.
Yeah.
Like we're picking the totally bullshit Zeri Yumi comp that you can't even run away from her late game.
Can't kill it, can't run away from it. Might as well just FF, which is basically what happened.
Because it just didn't matter.
They had Baron and Elder and like Elder buff in that game and still just lost in a team fight. Like, what do? You know?
I swear to God, if TL doesn't have an answer with 2 Zeri, whether it's just ban it or what, I'm gonna scream.
Well, and that's like if I'm complaining about the picks, C9 first set of bans, LeBlanc Nocturne TF, and LeBlanc Nocturne Lee Sin, and LeBlanc Nocturne Lee Sin, or not even Nocturne. LeBlanc Nautilus TF, LeBlanc Nautilus Lee, LeBlanc Nautilus Lee. You really couldn't stick Zeri in there to make them try something else?
They also picked red side all 3 games. So they very specifically were opting into this. They didn't want to switch to blue. If they swapped to blue, they could have gotten the Zeri. We know Berserker can play that champion. Even on their last 3-0 time they got 3-0, Berserker almost carried one of those games out of nowhere. So they this was the way they decided to play in these games. Purposefully, very purposefully, and it was clearly ineffectual.
Yeah, looking at those 3-0s or 0-3s that they had, it showed a lot of inflexibility, and I'm curious where that's coming from, because I don't think that's been a traditional issue.
It's really been top lane, because first off, Summit has been playing champions who are not LS champions in most of these games. And I say this not because it would be different if LS is on this team. I'm saying this because his coach, Max Waldo, is in the church.
Yeah.
And his mid laner, Fudge, is in the church. So here's this guy who's locking this champion who his team and his coach probably are disagreeing with in these games, specifically when he's playing against other Korean top laners on repeat. I'd actually be very curious to see how C9TL would go, to see if he actually respects Bwipo or not. I have a feeling he doesn't respect Bwipo, and he'd actually play whatever BS they tell them to play. But it's pretty clear that this is a player decision to opt into these champions, and because it's counter pick for Summit in all of these games, it's Summit. Summit is opting into this, and it does not look good. Maybe a meta shift fixes this, maybe it doesn't. But this was pretty tragic.
But it's also you see that the meta is play tanks and win.
Yeah,
it's a lot of play tanks and win pretty much no matter where you're playing right now. Impact knows how to play tanks and win. Picks Ornn 2 games, gets it banned. Picks Gragas, wins into 3 not tank matchups. The math is the same as the games that TL lost. It's you picked not tanks into tanks and lost the game.
And Bwipo can play tanks. I'm sorry, I'm still salty and I'm so upsetting. Bwipo can play tanks. And he had an answer to the tanks. It's so goddamn bad.
So he can play tanks. Bwipo, though, as a person, loves counter picks, and he especially loves nonsense counter picks. So I expect I expect for TL in this next series with EG, for the record, to play other nonsense counter picks for Bwipo in top lane that just are not Lucian. So expect 3 more unique champions from Bwipo in this series at least.
Singe.
I don't think Singed is a Bwipo. It'll be top Rengar, Scion, and what's his other one that he does?
Scion's great.
He'll probably play Gangplank at least once. But those are the 3 I'm expecting. So top Rengar is my spice for this weekend. Called it.
Speaking of the unique picks, we should talk about Nocturne, which I don't think anybody else is playing Nocturne. And Inspired broke it out 2 of these 3 games. What did you think about the Nocturne pick?
GG Golden Guardians.
Well, he had the same build as Pride Stalker, so it's pretty clear that they were coordinating. I don't want to disparage Licorice too much specifically, but Inspired and Impact had much better coordination with Nocturne and Ornn Ultimate than Golden Guardians did in a very similar game against the same team.
Yep.
Where the way that they were launching the Ornn ult in and then Nocturne flying in with the specifically flying in onto Jace with the Stride Breaker active was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So in game 1 and 3 it made sense. I also really like Nocturne into Twisted Fate as a thing.
Yes.
So so like in these games, the Nocturne pick made sense to me when they didn't as much in the Golden Guardians C9 series.
Yeah, I think it's like interesting tech that was leveraged in different ways where EG can use it when it's good, and Golden Guardians relied on forcing it to work because that's what they had. And so I find it interesting when they bust it out in the future what their rationale is every time. And we've seen as an answer to the TF, and then also synergizing with the Ornn. I wonder what components have to be taken away or implemented to shut it down. But I think it's a great option to like make teams weary. Like, okay, is this going to be something that harms us, or do we risk getting harmed to buy it and then not knowing how to adjust? It's spooky. It's a spooky character.
It's also like the game 3 version of it. It is a classic into TF thing to do, because TF push R, Nocturne push R. Whoops.
Yeah, and he never has to lead, because some Nocturne comps that I've seen historically is like you want the Nocturne to start the fight by making it dark, and then the team makes a decision. But when you're pairing it with something like the Ornn's going to start the fight no matter what happens. And so you can wait and be the true like global assassin that Nocturne is, and see what that TF does first. No, and it makes it a lot more consistent as far as pulling it off.
They also had like the Rise and the Zeri, who are both mobile but can also follow up better. Like, and so their bot lane matched better than the Golden Guardians bot lane did. And then finally, like they fought from closer, just from like a raw execution of this comp. They were on the objective with Cloud9 for these fights when they used their ultimates. They weren't half a map away. So you can definitely see that like proximity and being on time for these objectives, and then also having other scaling elements in your comp so you don't have to hard force, really made a huge difference.
If we're talking about the most evil things you can do with a Nocturne comp, it's you combine it with
evil.
It's one of the most. I want to see EG do this because it's the dirtiest thing.
Please no
if
Shen
you
Nocturne.
combine it with the classic thing, and these are two champions that are in the meta and have been picked in series we've talked about. You combo with Galio Camille, you turn the lights off, and then you Galio ult on whoever
someone's
the Nocturne ults on, then you jump on it with Camille, and then you make it dead.
I don't like it.
The bounce house with the lights off.
Don't like. No.
That's
Love
against safety regulations.
Yeah,
David.
that's illegal.
Like, it's just like a thing. I'm pretty sure that's against safety regs. Like, if you set up your bouncy castle for a parent's 1-year birthday party, like, just the lights have to be on. That's like a requirement.
Anyway, we returned to a theme from a couple weeks ago. Hey, Steven. You scared?
Never. Not even. 3-0 easy. TL, let's go. There's no evil in this house.
Oh, my sweet summer child. I'm looking forward to Bwippo picking bullshit and y'all losing. It's gonna be fun.
The only thing that I request is that I don't want to hear a silent in Discord, and then in the last like 2 minutes you drop some bullshit. Like, I hate that. That fucking drives me nuts. I'll trash talk the entire time. Like, it'll be like an 8-game series, and then like at the very end, some bullshit streaks across the Discord notifications. I'm like, you're no fun. You're taking away the joy of this, no matter what it is. I could be getting hard stomped, and I'm still like just talking and nothing.
Okay,
silence into the ether.
Remember last time I picked my own team to get 3-0'd, so I wasn't gonna talk any shit. This time, 3-2 EG, bitch. You're going down.
Oh man.
You're weak.
Never.
You're weak. I sense weakness.
No. Bwippo's going to get no girlfriend. He'll be functional. He's not going to pick Lucian. We've experimented with everything that can go wrong. No problem.
Here's the thing. Finals impact.
That's illegal.
You know, you've been there, you've cheered for it.
Steve's gonna go talk to him and be like, "Hey, man, don't do this. I got a big check. I have my Supreme cannon ready."
Impact and his Zoomers.
Impact and his Zoomers.
That's basically the EG story.
I like it. Oh my god. Wait, is it inspired young?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he's fairly young, but like it's JoJo and Danny are
for sure. I was just throwing because I know Vulcan is like on that cusp of like he could be anywhere, but I didn't think inspired was. So I was like, oh, but I like
Speaking of mad shit talking, I love Vulcan.
Yeah, we left JoJo. Who should we replace him with?
I love it.
Oh, and then I think was it Flowers? Someone said it was like Jizuke.
Just delightful. So yeah, like I am excited for finals weekend tonight. Pretty much however it goes. These are the 3 teams in the best form. They're probably the best 3 teams in the league. Whoever wins is going to fully deserve it. Like I think it's probably, even with how it is, if you did like a chances out of 100, I might still give TL 40% to come out. But it's harder because they have to do 2 best of 5s.
I think this is the best look a playoffs has in the final 3. I'm trying to remember what it, because I remember watching it. It was in the before times because I was at a Christmas thing. I want to say it was like 2019 summer maybe, or 2018 summer. One of those two. Where 100 Thieves, like it was 100 Thieves' first year that they were like really clean. That's what this feels like.
Yep, that was a good year.
Yeah, very very competitive. And I think like even Golden Guardians was in the playoffs too, but not in the like this is very akin to that, where like a lot of teams like suddenly showed up and played out at the end. It was where TSM missed the playoffs for the first time or whatever. Like that's the same energy here.
Anyway,
so I'm for the record, I'm citing for EG in this matchup too, because
no one cares.
It's a mid-jungle matchup. I cannot vote for 2016 TSM as winning this league. I just can't. That's like utter tragedy. Disgusting.
No one asked.
That's too bad.
It's too bad.
However, Eric, do you believe in your boys to win the finals?
Yes.
Over either team?
Over either team right now. Yeah.
Go off.
They look on form. Like Abadage finally got over whatever like bad juju he had in playoffs so far. Like starting to win lane. All we need.
Anyway, a brief dash into some mid-split free agency stuff, because there's stuff floating around.
Can I ask a controversy question real quick? Because I just saw it. No? Oh, man. What's the Alfari Jat stuff? What's coming out now? I missed it. Does anyone know?
New stuff?
Alfari refused to learn Gwen is the juice.
Really? It's that simple?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I thought it was something just like mundane, but that's really oof.
Well, it sounds that way, but like EU versus NA, man, in terms of like team culture and stuff, and like even NA is not that much better, but like the EU players aren't gonna like pivot how they specifically approach the game because you as a coach tell them something. That ain't how this works for them. So like, you know, you ain't gonna tell Perks he needs to learn to play a champion. Like Perks will tell you, like, yeah, that champion's good, but that ain't me. And then you work with it, right? And that was the big thing with their power dynamic that like Jad in interview and Alfari in interviews has talked about, is like Jad really specifically asked for very specific things, and it could be learning Gwen, it could be how you play the lane, it could be whatever. And Alfari is like, that's not how I approach this game right now. and that did not work out. So
Anyway,
Answers.
brief amusements. Shout out to OPL and NA Challenger legend Shurnfire, who is making the big moves to a team in the LFL. Checking out that EU Masters experience. And we haven't talked about the Korean stuff in a couple of weeks, so I want to bring you a Korean coaching staff update because I want to make Eric feel old.
oh no.
Hanwha Life has announced their new coaching staff for the summer split. Their two coaches for their team for summer split are Dandy and Key.
Wait, Dandy from Samsung?
Uh-huh.
And Key, specifically. Key,
And
who was
Key
the
from-
support for what was that Korean team?
It wasn't
that came
ever
up?
8, was it?
I think it was Ever8 or something. It's like because it was Key and Athena and Loken, and who was their mid laner again? It was another big player.
Yeah.
I forget. It was another Greek name.
Yep.
They had like a lot of deity-based names, and then Key, who was a bard one trick, and then got in trouble for boosting.
Yep.
The classic Korean debacle.
Which team was this? You said that was
Hanwha Life.
Hanwha Life. Okay.
And then they also signed a new academy coach since they called up their academy coaches. So they've signed Nagni to be their academy.
Nagne?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like Nagne, Dandy, and Key.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a coaching staff. Nagne is actually the one I guess Dandy would maybe be better, but like Nagne is actually the one who, like, from a mentality perspective, I think I would respect the most from that, which is interesting because like he was the more mental player of the three, whereas like he was more troll mechanics and Dandy was more about like jungle pathing and stuff. And yeah, anyway.
Dandy had the big brain. So yeah, I saw all those names and I'm like, I know all those names from when they were players.
Many moons ago,
Many
when I
years
was a
ago,
young
yes,
lad playing League of Legends.
when the Fire Nation attacked.
Oh God.
Yeah, so for the record, all the LFL teams have been doing pretty good in EU Masters.
Yeah, we haven't talked at all about EU Masters because they're happening at the same time as MSI qualification, but they're happening.
The moral of the story is that LDLC look really good.
I saw. Didn't Carmine Corp get perfect gamed like their first game of the tournament?
like Gamer Legion, yeah. They came back and they beat them in the second round though. So like, it's not
Avenged.
a thing to remember though. Is that Carmine Corp is like the 4 seed out of the LFL in this tournament? Like number 4, and they're still making it out of their group.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a lot of LFL teams making it out of groups.
Yeah, so we'll maybe look at EU Masters after playoffs are all done and MSI is set because we might have some time to look at it in between times. But it's happening. I'm not paying enough attention to it. Anyway, Steven, what you playing?
I am an official Pokemon master. I got master rank in Pokemon Unite because I guess there's only children left playing, so this old boomer with lots of League of Legends applicable skills was able to climb.
Janglin?
Yes, there was a very overpowered Talonflame abuse that happened. I feel really good about it.
Talonflame's the only Pokemon I learned how to play in Unite, and I got decent at it, and I'm terrible, so I'm with it.
Yes, yeah, I very much abused like goal getter. Like I was like scoring like 300 points a game, like just like hard climbing, and it was really satisfying. It was very cathartic. So that's I can now uninstall the game and not touch it till next. But I think it'll be interesting for me because that's where I'm at with League. It's like I'll just like log in at the tail end and climb to gold and be like, yep, that's enough League. So I wonder if
So like... I don't play much Unite, but I still sub to the subreddit, and that game still has some really hilarious bugs. It kind of acts like it's still in beta sometimes. There
his
was one
first
I saw a
year.
couple of days ago where the right combination of a Gengar's skills hit a Crustle, and the Crustle got like levitated 6 feet above the map and just stayed there. So you have this Crustle floating above you menacingly this whole time.
Yes, I love it. Like that reminds me of like the whole knock up like bugs in League that would just send
Which are so
characters.
good. You
I
just
miss
ascend
those.
into the stratosphere for 5 seconds. I miss those.
They're doing the fast running animation as they send down because it's the travel distance. I love it. That's the stuff I miss. Like, you know what? Like I'll take like broken like trash League client in game way before like the just mundanity of right now. I'll be honest. It was better in season 3.
Shut
up, Boomer. Eric, what are you playing?
I'm almost done with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I got a sick Ragnarok of the Striking Assassin legendary sword where I like fire off Shockwave Buddha Girl attacks, which is a reference neither of you will get. But like every time I swing my sword, there's like the energy beam that flies out of it, so I
You're a
can melee
pirate.
stuff across the map. I'm a Hammer Zerker. I'm a Viking. The actual answer. I'm a Viking with a Ragnarok sword. It's sick. Yeah.
Anyway, I think I've probably spent the most time playing Pokemon Go of any game this week because I still play Pokemon Go every day because I do.
I still haven't opened your gift from like 4 episodes ago.
I know, because you're a bitch. No, anyway, the game told me to play PvP for a little thing that was this weekend, and I played a little bit of Pokemon Go PvP, and I got a team figured out that did some pretty fun stuff. I've got a super duper tanky Lapras
you're horrid.
People haven't really figured out. It knows Skull Bash, and it just beefs up every time it uses Skull Bash.
You're a bad person.
It's really fun. I enjoy it.
I'm actually upsetting.
And then we bring in the we got a Houndoom and a what's my other steel type thing? I got a Kling-Clang and Houndoom.
Why are you such
for the closers?
Ass?
So we just run a real beefy team with Houndoom to come close it up.
Oh, you're horrid. Get out.
Mad now?
Yeah, I'm upsetting. I think I need to face that
Steven
down.
over the Pokemon Master, and he's ashamed of you.
Yeah, exactly. You're like a villain.
It's too bad because you're catching those L's though.
Never.
I'm playing random bullshit. I'm not playing the meta. I know what the meta in Great League is, and I don't fuck with that.
That's why you're Dark David right now. You're evil.
Always. Always. Live evil, baby. That's fine.
Buy the merch. Buy
funky,
the merch. Do it. Yeah, we are funky. We're living funky at the funky.store. That's where you can pick up merch with like awesome t-shirts and long sleeves. It's summer. It's hot. You're going to get like nice pit stains in your shirt, so you need to cycle those out and get some new fresh tees to go out and see your friends. So pick that up at funky.store. www.funky.store. Check that out.
Steven, what can we find on the Funky YouTube channel other than ourselves?
Oh man, you can watch the Star Fox 64 playthrough. That's been a real track down memory lane for me, and I'm discovering a whole new thing because apparently there's 3/4 of the game that I never saw, and it's been a run. We also played the original home video game of Super Mario Bros. You can check that out. It's a nice concise playthrough, and we recently published a long play, if that's your jam, of the Shovel Knight playthrough, which is the first game that was completed on the channel. So that's all good things you can check out. Make sure you subscribe and like the videos.
There you have it. If you're looking to watch some League of Legends eSports, Saturday is your big day this week. You can start it up real early in the morning. Top eSports Royal Never Give Up in the LPL finals is supposed to start around 4:30 in the morning Central Time. If you feel like getting up real early in the morning, and then take a little break, get some brunch, come back for Kane Gaming against Red Canids Kalunga in the CB LOL finals at 11. And then come back after that for EGTL at 2:30. Big full day of solid League of Legends to fill it off and see two teams lock in spots in MSI and figure out who's going to the NA finals on Sunday, where they are the only thing, the main attraction. And we'll see what kind of show the LCS puts on in Houston. I'm excited to see the theatrics. So, there you have it. We'll be back next week, and we'll have an MSI to look at.
Let's do
It's
it.
going to be fun. Let's get it. All right. This has been Reaction Time. We'll see you next time. Deuces.